Debate flared up yesterday when King James decided to weigh in. Analytics Twitter against King James. Is mid-range really dead? Well, let's take a look. Let's examine the evidence. Let's take a look at some of the biggest shots from yesterday's game. This will be a three-part series. Make sure you follow at ScoutWithBryan on Twitter so you don't miss any of it. I'll post a lot more evidence of it too. But first of all, let's take a look at some of the film, especially from yesterday, to see what we're really talking about. And again, when King James tweeted this, when he tweeted he's not trying to hear the analytics talk, I don't think he's saying that he's not trying to talk about analytics at all or that he doesn't like numbers in general. The issue is some of the analytics community has pumped out a storyline that mid-range is dead and that all shots that aren't threes or layups are bad choices. That's what players take offense to. That's what a lot of the analytics communities are wrong about, and I'm going to show you why. Let's take a look. First of all, I think we can all agree nobody is disputing the three-point shot. We love threes, we love layups. That's what we could get every time. If we can get those every time, we'd be pretty happy. But there's some threes that are better than others. This, in my opinion, is not a good shot. Contested three in transition for a guy like Danny Green's not a good shot. I think we can all agree just because you're open doesn't mean you need to shoot it. I hear some people say if it's an open shot, it's a good shot. Well, that's not necessarily true. It does kind of depend on the guy. It does depend on the flow of the game. It does depend on who you are. There's a lot more context than just being open or not. But we'll take a lot more look at that. The first place that a mid-range shot really can come in handy is against a drop coverage on a pick and roll. Drop coverage obviously is the big being back on a pick and roll like this. And obviously, if you can pull up from three and if you're good enough to hit this shot consistently, like Dame, like Steph, you should take them. But sometimes as the game goes on, as you get more tired, or if you're not a good enough shooter off the dribble from three, because it is really tough to pull up from three off the dribble, off a dribble from 26 feet, and stop on a dime like that, then sometimes you have to get a little bit closer, take it from the elbows, take it from the free throw line, take it from inside the arc. A guy like Damian Lillard, of course, have no problem taking this shot. He doesn't make this one here. He was a little tired late in the game, but that's absolutely a good shot for Damian Lillard. Guy like Will Barton, though, a lot of the times against the drop, the shot that's going to be open is right around that elbow jumper. And especially in this game last night, when you take a look at the fourth quarter, Portland-Denver, Denver did not have a guy who could make this mid-range jumper in the fourth quarter against the drop coverage. You see the big back here, the guard's chasing over the screen. So it's hard to pull up from three again. It takes a lot of energy, especially in the fourth quarter when your legs are tired, to stop behind on a pick and roll from three. You usually have to get downhill a little bit, take a couple dribbles, and elevate. Good shot for Will Barton in the rhythm, but he's not a good enough mid-range shooter. That's what we're talking about when we say mid-range isn't dead, and you have to continue to develop this part of your game. It's an important emphasis. For teams like Denver, for teams like Houston that are trying to get over the hump, you occasionally need to have a guy who can make a shot, especially in crunch time, from this area. Here we see the drop coverage again. The pull-up right away might be open, or snaking, keeping your guy on your back, and being able to pull up again from the elbow is open. Taking it all the way to the rim and forcing a shot against Zach Collins is not and gets blocked. Same thing with Jamal Murray here. Once again, we can't pull up from three because Evan Turner goes over the screen, and it's so high up, you cannot stop on a dime right here. Most players at least can't regularly, especially when they're tired. Jamal Murray right here, again, probably has the elbow pull up, but he forces it a little bit further and takes an awkward floater. Missing these shots hurt Denver down the stretch. On Portland's side, remember the clip we just showed talking about keeping a guy on your back? They had CJ McCollum who could do this. Defender goes over the same exact way at 25 feet. He's on his back. The big's pretty up and aggressive still. That's not even that much of a drop. Jokic is right there. Keeps Craig on his back. S-dribble. Fade away right from the elbow. Perfect. Guy like Kawhi, he can do it too. Again, 2-for-2 coverage in the NBA, especially in the playoffs. These big men are way back there. Sometimes the best thing you can do, get ahead of steam, come down, elevate, pull. That's a good shot. Of course, it's a good shot for Kawhi. Is it a good shot for somebody like Danny Green? No, because they haven't worked on it. Because Danny Green's rhythm is so slow and his pound dribble is so slow that he allows Ben Simmons to catch up and block him from behind. A guy like Kawhi, though, if you're going to continue to give him these mid-range jumpers, it's automatic. The argument isn't build a team around the mid-range or don't take threes or don't take layups. The argument is it's an important shot that's occasionally valuable and important to have, especially in the playoffs when bigs are this far back. Yes, elite players like Kawhi and like DeRozan and like CJ and like KD can hit this shot, and Jimmy Butler, but you know what? They all worked on it. Kawhi did not have this shot as a rookie or as a second-year player. He has added it to his game because he's a relentless worker. That's where we take issue when people say the mid-range is dead and it's not part of the game anymore and you shouldn't work on that shot. You see it again here. Look how hard Denver is making it to even get off a three. You can't shoot a three here. Craig is so tight on CJ right when he comes off the handoff. Jokic is up. There is no room to possibly even think about shooting a three here. But you know what? CJ's able to split the screen. He's able to have a brilliant shot fake up and under. And takes a great wide open mid-range shot. Happens to miss it right here, but that's a great shot again in the rhythm of the game. It's taking what the defense gives you. Once again, Denver's up and aggressive. CJ strings it out. Calls for the rescreen. Up and aggressive again. Once again, the split. Left elbow right here. A lot of times like this, you can't get all the way to the basket. You can't take the three clearly. Can't get to the basket because the help's waiting to come in Millsap. What you can do, though, stop right here and pull. Good shot for CJ. A shot that Gary Harris needs to add, that Jamal Murray needs to get better at. If these guys want to win playoff series, you probably have to have a shot like that. We talked about Gary Harris. This was a huge shot in the game with 5 minutes left, down 4. Gary Harris is a great player. He can make threes, he can make twos, he can get to the rim. But if he wants to be truly elite, he's going to have to add this third level too. Threes, rim, mid-range. Important shot to make. Kawhi in the same situation on dribble handoff that's iced. Instead of just taking it and getting iced, he's going to get to the middle, and against the big, he's going to step back and hit a tough shot. What tough players do. Another area that's important, in the post. Not to pick on Danny Green, but if you allow a guy like J.J. Redick to guard you, and you can't take advantage of the mismatch in the post, that's a problem. When you don't have a guy who can take advantage of that, you're allowing yourself to be easier to guard. And of course, players, if they can get all the way to the rim, they'd love to get to the rim. Here's the thing we don't really realize. Basketball players aren't robots. There's no button that we can press, take a shot right here, take a shot right here. They're reading the game. They're playing. They're reading their man. Sometimes for Kawhi, this ends up being a mid-range pull-up right here. But Tobias is a little tighter. He's a little weaker in the post. So Kawhi takes the bump, shows him the ball, goes up and finishes with his left hand. If he can get to the rim every time, he'd do that. And you know what else Denver didn't have? A guy who could create their shot in the post. Evan Turner, the much maligned Evan Turner. You know what? They say post-ups are dead too. It's another Goldsberry phrase. It wasn't for Evan Turner down the stretch, getting really deep position, being able to show the ball, get fouled, 6 minutes to go, or do it again with 4:30 left when Jeff Van Gundy even said, Dame and CJ look tired right now. Dame more than CJ was his exact quote. Look at him. His hands on his knees. Evan Turner, somebody had to get a shot off. Denver didn't have that guy. None of their guards can post up. Only Millsap and Jokic can. Evan Turner has a little post game, so when these guys were dead tired, even though CJ won the game with his unbelievable mid-range shots, Evan Turner being able to do this and make his move in the post was huge. And yeah, you might say, oh, that's not a mid-range, it's a layup. Sure, but it's the same play. Evan Turner takes these post fadeaways all the time. Here he happens to be able to spin off and get to the rim, but that's just because the defense wasn't as good. He's reading the game the same way. If he had a mid-range shot here, he'd take the mid-range shot. He's able to make the move all the way to the rim, so that's what he does. Speaking of getting all the way to the rim, once again in the playoffs a lot, you can't. Look at Jimmy Butler and Embiid here, waiting to come as Kawhi comes off the small pick and roll. And Ben Simmons is retreating all the way to the basket to cut off the drive. Only thing that's open, stopping on a dime and pulling up. This is a killer shot. If you want to be a Paul George, if you want to be a LeBron, if you want to be a DeRozan, if you want to be an elite scorer in the league, you have to have that shot. So kids, keep working on your mid-range. It's important. And you know what? It's pretty important in crunch time too. How are you going to get a three here when your man's guarding you this tight? Yeah, Dame can sidestep and get the shot. CJ doesn't have that move. But you know what? They still trusted him to go pretty much 1-4 flat. Straight ISO at the end of the game. Create your own shot. Pull back. Unbelievable. Does Torrey Craig have this move? Does Jamal Murray? Sometimes, maybe. But how many mid-range shots did we see Denver miss down the stretch? And how big was CJ's mid-range game? On top of that, how many people talking about this? You know what? This was a mid-range shot too. Tough as it was, as many times as it hung on the rim, if Kawhi had tried to rise up from three here like some players do on game winners, probably not going in with two guys on him right here. But you know what he does? He takes the extra dribbles, he strings it out. Embiid's defense is pretty good. He even takes a little baby hop right here to try to block it, comes down, and then is able to try to jump again and gets a good contest off. But Kawhi, by stringing this all the way out to the short, deep corner, is able to get enough lift, like he said, just get the ball up, get it on the rim, give it a chance. That's what he did. That's a DeMar DeRozan shot that he's made a lot in his career. Yes, not a lot in the playoffs. Everybody kills him for it. But still a hugely important shot that makes him one of the best scorers in the league and a four-time All-Star. We'll talk more about him in the later parts of the series. But is mid-range dead? No. This is part 1 of 3. Make sure you thumb up. Make sure you subscribe. Thanks a lot for watching. Make sure you follow on Twitter at ScoutWithBryan so you can see all the evidence, all the videos coming up to prove that the mid-range is alive and well. Thanks.